And so now we're recording. It is the 7th of February, and I don't even know what number Zoom call this is, but still waiting for my grandbaby number 14, who's overdue by a week now. So hoping I hear some good news this afternoon or tomorrow or tonight. We're excited about that. And so I want to open it up for questions first. Those that emailed me questions, we're going to address those. So you don't have to ask those now, but those who did not, who have questions, let's try to address those first. Nothing? Zero? Okay, so now I'm going to mute everybody. And then if you do have questions that you want to chime in, just chime in by sending me a little comment. Hopefully I'll catch it. Anything before I mute everybody? Okay. All right, so we are going to go to the questions that we have been given. So number one, question about cold sores, fever blisters, and what you could do. The question was, would a drop or two of DMSO zinc be a good idea for a fever blister outbreak on my lip? And this is not the person's lip, so I just pulled this off the internet. But let's go back and understand what a fever blister or cold sore is. Cold sore is a herpes virus that is communicable by touching, kissing, anything. It's everywhere. Everybody probably has herpes virus. Literally every single person does. And the herpes live in the nerve ganglion. With the mouth, it lives in the trigeminal nerve ganglion, cranial nerve 5 up by the TMJ. And it comes out when there's a change of pH in the mouth. So people get cold sores, let's say. That's why you'd get a cold sore if you suck on a lemon. You're going to get a cold sore. If you lay out in the sun for the first time for a long time, you could get a cold sore. Because when there's a change of pH in the mouth, then that virus gets enacted and it comes out and it causes these blisters like this. So traditionally, the treatment would be using an amino acid called L-lysine. That can be helpful for cold sores, people that have a lot of cold sores a lot of times. But really, you want to look at trying to change the pH of the mouth. And one product that I've used for that in the past is this product called calcium lactate by Standard Process. Now you get a whole bunch in this bottle here, and you're only going to take one little tablet out and you're going to lick it and wet it and dab it on the cold sores. That could be really good. That could be beneficial for any type of herpes, whether it be a genital herpes or it be a herpes of herpes zoster. So that could be beneficial. Now you're never going to get rid of that virus. Now there is a herpes program on the Rife too, but maybe I'm too negative, but I just believe that it's like impossible to kill all the viruses in your body. It's just not even possible. And herpes seems to be one of those stubborn ones that it just seems nearly impossible to kill. You want to just keep it at bay. So watching, a lot of people like to drink lemon water because it's good, because lemon water, even though it's acidic, it's very alkalizing to the tissue. But the acidity in your mouth can be causing cold sores. The other thing that you could do to balance that on a daily basis is getting some like coconut yogurt, if you have that available in your area. Most the regular grocery stores in the Twin Cities carry coconut yogurt, so it's not made with milk from dairy, it's made from coconut milk. And that does give you some calcium in that coconut yogurt, and that can help just balance the pH. It's not really too alkaline, but it can help balance. Just sucking on one of these calcium lactate for a little bit. You don't even need to suck on the whole tablet. It literally tastes like chalk, so it's not very tasty. But calcium lactate is the form of lactate that, or form of calcium that you'd find in plants. So it's a plant-based calcium. It's a good form of calcium. So that's been a good product that we have used for cold sores in the past that have been very good. Could I use a drop or two of DMSO zinc on it? You could. I've never tried it. It's worth a try. DMSO is anti-inflammatory, and zinc is a mineral, and it is alkaline by nature. So it's quite possible that might help too. And if that works, please make a note on Facebook so we have a new cure for cold sores. So great idea. It's worth a try. And to see if it works, that would be beneficial. All right, the next question was, can we do the clear line programs on the Rife? So not clear Lyme, as in Lyme disease, clear line. So there is a folder called the clear line programs on the Rife. And the answer is yes, because they have a program in there, I believe, called Lymph Detox and Lymph. That's a good program. So any of those clear line programs, any programs on the Rife are good to use. So you can try, I don't want you being married to your Rife where you don't have a life anymore and you're just playing with your Rife and sitting on your Rife all day. But certainly if you have time, you're going to watch a program or you're going to read a book or something like that, try to make your bedroom kind of your space to relax and do the Rife on different programs. Again, I always tell people, make the Rife be your first go-to for everything. It doesn't mean it's going to work for everything, but try that first. You have this wonderful tool, and too many times I talk to people and it is so underused, very underused. And believe it or not, I have had patients that have passed away, and I got the Rife back from the family member, and I have a secret way of seeing. I could go in the back office of that person's computer in their program, and I could tell exactly the last time they used the Rife, what program they ran and how long they ran it. And I can't tell you how many patients where I got Rifes back and they hardly used it. I had a Lyme patient that passed away after 6 months of care, looked at the program, he only used it 11 times. I can't believe it. It's like, why did you do this? Why'd you come here? Why'd you spend all this money? Why you don't even do what I ask you to do? So you have to be using this tool that you have. So make sure that you make the best use of it that you possibly can. We use ours for everything that we can think of, and we always allow it to be our first go-to thing in dealing with any disease. So make sure you use it. Now, going along with that question, the person asked, when you say not to run too many kill programs on the Rife, what do you mean by those? So when I talk about running too many kill programs in the Rife, I'm mainly talking to Lyme patients, because when you're killing bacteria that are gram-negative bacteria, there's a class of bacteria that's called gram-positive and another class that's called gram-negative. Not to get too technical, but it's just how they take up the gram stain. That's how they were named. But gram-negative bacteria are gram-negative. They don't take up the gram stain simply because they have this substance in the cell membrane called lipopolysaccharides. And when you kill gram-negative bacteria quickly, you will liberate a lot of lipopolysaccharides. Lipopolysaccharides are large enough to stimulate an immune response in themselves. And if you kill too quickly, then you can Herx, what's called a Herxheimer reaction. A Herxheimer reaction is like you're not able to detox it fast enough. You're stimulating an immune response against something, and that if you already have an autoimmune disease like most of our stage 3, phase 3 Lyme patients do, they will be killing that which they have antibodies against first, which will be their own self-tissue. Long story short, if you're dealing with cancer, you don't have to worry about any of that. So you certainly don't have to worry about that when you're killing parasites or you're running any of the parasite programs or the clean me up programs. So there is a series of programs, I think there's 5 of them that are called Clean Me Up. It's just under C in the alphabetical listing, and it's Clean Me Up, and it's Clean Me Up 2, Clean Me Up 3, or whatever. And that's a good program to start with if you're trying to do some detox too, because there's a lot of parasite and just detox programs kind of built into those Clean Me Up programs. But certainly you could go right to the different parasite programs. And if you don't think you have parasites, you are living under deception, because all of us have parasites and you want to be working on them always. So lots of parasites live in you symbiotically, and it's not such a big deal, but liver flukes are really, really common, and other flukes are common. So running the parasite all frequency once in a while is good to run. I've had lots of stories of people say they run the parasite programs and they look at their feces the next day and it scared the daylights out of them. I've had people pass giant roundworms. I've had people pass pieces of parasites. So running the parasite programs, running the different viral programs can be all beneficial, and you really won't herx from any of those things. So when I say do not run too many kill programs, I'm really talking about people that have autoimmune disease and you're running gram-negative bacteria programs like Lyme programs. And then the question came up on the Facebook page about using a grounding sheet. I know Mike at True Rife is really big at using a grounding sheet, and this is one area where I disagree with him a little bit. I don't think there's anything wrong with using a grounding sheet if everybody wanted to use a grounding sheet. See on this picture of the bed where they have the grounding sheet only on the lower half of the bed? I might even scoot it down another 12 inches. So it's just really covering my legs. Because here's the idea. So if I have my bulb laying between my wife and I, between the pillows there, and it's up near our upper torso, I'm getting most of the frequencies. But if I had the grounding sheet covering the entire bed, well, I'm losing a lot of the frequencies right into the grounding sheet. So what does a grounding sheet do? So a grounding sheet is just a piece of material with wire mesh in it. You don't feel any of the wire mesh, it's very soft. And that wire mesh then goes back to a wire, and the wire then runs underneath your bed, and you plug it into that third bottom prong on a grounded outlet. So you plug it into the bottom prong of a grounded outlet. That's supposed to be connected to your ground. So in your house's wiring, that goes all the way back, that third piece, that third bottom prong, goes all the way back to your breaker box, and then all the grounds from all the outlets are connected to a center panel, a copper panel where they're all screwed together, and then a big heavy copper wire comes out, goes outside the house, and then is supposed to be connected to a grounding rod that is a copper alloy, about a ½ inch round piece of metal that's about 6 feet deep, that's pounded into the ground, so that then you are grounding yourself to the ground, hence the word grounding. Now, the benefit of using a grounding sheet, not even in bed, but you can use these sheets. We have the grounding pads that you can put on chairs. You could put it on the floor so you stand on it. You're basically grounding yourself all the time. So it's like you're standing outside. And it's pretty hard in Minnesota to go out and ground yourself and stand on the ground outside without getting frostbite. So using a grounding sheet and grounding pads are great. However, when you're trying to use a frequency machine and you're trying to get the frequencies from that machine, if you have the bulb lying on a grounding pad and then you're lying next to the bulb, you can't argue with the fact that you're losing some benefit of the frequencies. What percentage, I don't know. But you're losing some benefit of the frequencies because they're going to be carried back to the ground, because all frequencies want to form a circuit. So you're going to lose some benefit of those frequencies. That's why I say, great, use a grounding sheet, but keep it down to your legs, your buttocks on down maybe. and then keep your bulb up high. Now, it would serve no purpose to have a grounding sheet on your lower part of your bed here if you're putting the grounding or putting your Rife bulb down below, down by your feet. So this presupposes that you're having the Rife bulb, you're snuggling with your Rife bulb, or you're having it over your head. Now, I typically tell people to kind of hold it and snuggle it by their torso. So then this would work. So have the grounding sheet on the lower half of your torso, and then you have the Rife bulb on the upper half of the torso. So most of the frequencies are going to go through you and then to the sheet, and then it will form its own circuit. So grounding sheets are great, but I don't think they're always necessary for people too. You know, if you're using a Rife to treat you during the night, I think grounding sheet is less necessary. If you're not using a Rife, then I think everybody should have a grounding sheet. So your kids should have a grounding sheet. They should all have grounding sheets, grounding them to the ground while they're sleeping. Now understand, this picture right here is showing it, if I could squint a little bit, it looks like it's over the sheet. Actually, you put the fitted sheet over the grounding sheet. So if this is the grounding sheet, this white piece right here, then you put this underneath the fitted sheet. So you're not kicking this around or getting it tangled in your feet all the time, and you never have to readjust it. So that's how it works. It goes underneath your fitted sheet, and then you lay on top of the fitted sheet, obviously. So that's how you would use that with a grounding sheet. So do I think it's necessary for everybody to have a grounding sheet if they're using a Rife? No, I don't think it's necessary. However, if you have a grounding sheet, make sure you keep it on the lower half of your torso. Other uses of grounding sheets and grounding pads are if you sit in a chair all day long and you're studying or you work on the computer, have it sit on the grounding sheet. You could put the grounding pads, you would use a sheet for this reason, but those other grounding pads that we have, you could lay on the floor, and that could go underneath your desk and put your feet on that, and then you're grounded to the outlet that way. All right, so I got a chat question here. Still not understanding the benefit of the grounding sheet. So the grounding sheet grounds you to the ground. Well, what's the benefit of that? So I have multiple videos on the benefits of grounding, so you might want to look it up on our website. There's also multiple websites about grounding and a book called Earthing. The name of the book is Earthing, E-A-R-T-H-I-N-G, that was written about this very subject. Matter of fact, they actually did a whole documentary on earthing that you could look up maybe on YouTube and find too. But the problem is that you as a human being are like an antenna, and you are exposed to EMFs constantly. So cell phones, radiation is going through you, EMFs from radio frequencies, from your microwave oven, from your television, from this computer that you're watching right now are going through you. And you pick up this positive charge. And I don't mean that as positive as good, it's just how it's charged. It's a positive charge. And you are full of positive charge. You need to disperse that positive charge. That's the benefit of going and walking on the beach, because the earth is a negative charge. So when you go and walk on the beach, you're basically dispersing all the positive charge, and you're picking up negative electrons from the earth to balance your body's energy field. That affects your pH as well. So the more positive charge you have from negative things in our environment, it acidifies you as well. So getting those electrons, from the earth is beneficial. That's the whole benefit I've spoken of many times before about having a pet. Your pet, your dog, is going outside, running around outside, dispersing all its positive charge and picking up all these negative electrons, comes in and you pet your pet, and you just feel so much better when your dog jumps up on your lap, unless you have a dog as big as my dog. But you are basically now discharging all your positive charge to that dog, but that's okay, because he's going to go run around outside again and get rid of it all. That's the benefit also from horse therapy. So you take a child that's autistic and their brain is just flying a million miles an hour, put them on a horse and they just seem to chill out. Well, it's because that horse is standing on the ground with four hooves all day long and is just full of negative electrons, which are great for us. So animals are very beneficial for us, and it can be very good to disperse that. Good question, Mike Teague. What do you do if you live on a boat and you're not grounded? Well, even the water, because water is so conductive, is got negative electrons. So jump in the water and go swimming, and you will disperse all that positive charge. So very good question. First time I've ever had that question talking about this subject, but I know where you are, Mike. So, and I'm going to come visit you. So, very good question. So, water is this is why you feel so good when you're out on the ocean or you're out on a lake or you're at a beach. It just, wow, I just feel so relaxed. Yes, there is that mental stress relief, but there is that change in your electrical charge that makes a big difference. So, and that's the benefit of the grounding pad. And if you read the book Earthing, there's a whole bunch of testimonials of people that have been healed by putting a grounding pad on their chair that they sit on at work and having it plugged in, or on the floor where they just set their feet on all day long. There's could be some real big benefits. Now we sell this grounding sheet in our store. That's for a bed. We also sell a grounding pad that's a little bit more rubber-like, a little bit more hardy. Doesn't feel as good on a bed because you can feel it underneath the fitted sheet, but it's much better to use to sit on or to put underneath your feet at your desk. So either one of those are really good products. Okay, I am going to unmute everybody and open it up for questions. So, anybody have any questions?
Does a swimming pool also count for the ground?
That's a good question. So if a swimming pool has a vinyl liner, I don't know the conductivity of that. I do know underneath the vinyl liner is typically sand. I don't know. I would think that it would probably be beneficial. If it has a concrete liner, it's probably not as good as a grounding tool because concrete is not a good dispersal of electrons and positively charged ions.
We know why our parents always said, go outside and play.
Yeah, exactly. And kids don't go outside and play anymore.
Right.
Yeah, I know. You know, my generation, we were gone as soon as we ate breakfast and we came home for supper. Even in the winter, we were outside playing. All right, any other questions?
Dr. Connors, I have a question for you. I'm looking at some medical marijuana here in Massachusetts. It's sold legally here. I have not explored that at all, but I know that a prescription is required. Is that something that you could do if we could talk about that?
No, you'd have to get a prescription from an oncologist in your state.
An oncologist. How about that, huh?
Yeah, you might have, every state is a little bit different. In Minnesota, you need an oncologist, but in other states, you might be able to get just a licensed physician give you a prescription.
Yeah.
I do know you do need to have a certain diagnosis, which if you have cancer, you're going to
Sure.
qualify.
Right.
Now, I will say that many of the states' programs, the type of marijuana that they use is not always the best.
Right.
So, you know, you got to look at price in
Yes.
this too. And some states have it subsidized, so you could get a really good deal on the stuff from the state.
Hmm.
In some states, it's not really any better deal than if you got it from somebody in Colorado or something at a dispensary. I
Sure.
would trust a dispensary. I would trust the black market with quality of marijuana before I trust my state pharmaceutical company. So
Well,
that's just me. And
sure.
so let's just talk a couple minutes because I had several questions on marijuana use
Yep.
this week. So remember with I think next week we'll do a whole Zoom call on this. But with marijuana, basically three different uses of marijuana medicinally.
Yes.
So the two strains, or not the strains, but the two components of marijuana are THC and CBD. So, and then the three uses of marijuana would be using any form of CBD, using any form of THC or a mixture thereof, or the third one, and I classify it differently, is smoking marijuana. So there's benefits of all three of them and some negatives of all three of them. So number one, I'm going to be real general here, and we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to go quick. Smoking marijuana is not going to cure anybody's cancer. However, smoking marijuana can be beneficial to reduce pain, to increase desire for food. If you have any level of cachexia where you're losing weight and you just can't seem to have any desire for food, it can decrease nausea, it can induce sleep, and it can take away anxiety. So I personally can't speak from experience because I've never smoked marijuana before, but I've seen it with patients, and patients especially that have never smoked marijuana before. Literally a couple puffs a couple times a day of a marijuana pipe can be miraculous for them. So I do ask people to get over that kind of stigma with it, that understand that it is just an herb that grows naturally. And there are different varieties that can be more beneficial than others. On that same line as smoking is taking it in an edible form. Now, if you're in a state that has a dispensary, there's all sorts of edibles with chewies and gummies and that are mixed with sugar. Now, the benefit of the edibles mixed with sugar is you're going to get a spike of the THC, which a lot of people that are using it recreationally like because they get this high and they get this feeling, that this euphoria that they really like. But that's not what our purpose is. So marijuana is fat soluble. So if you put it in a sugar, you're just going to get this spike and it's going to go away really quickly. We want to put it in a fat, and that's where the butter you see in dispensaries is beneficial, mixed in a coconut oil. And you could do this yourself too. There's recipes online, and you could YouTube this. There's a bunch of people that are very good at making this. And if you don't know anybody that smokes marijuana or any way that you could get this, if you just put the word out that I have cancer and I want marijuana, probably somebody that's your close friend either does it and doesn't tell you, or had their best friend is an expert at it. Quite honestly, I've never had a cancer patient not be able to get sourced very quickly by just putting the word out, hey, I need help. So that being said, it's better to, if you're going to do it in an edible, it's better to have a higher fat content as an edible so that you don't get this spike that you may not even like that spike. You get a more gentle benefit over a number of hours. It'll stay in your system longer. And that's why we've had people mix it up with coconut oil and even use it as a suppository if they want. So a suppository of marijuana as a coconut oil could be very beneficial. And we've had some results with having people get off their pain meds completely. You can also take that orally too if you can't take a suppository. But some people don't like the taste. But you just plug your nose and chase it with something and you're going to be fine. That's taking it orally or smoking it for the purposes of pain relief and such. Now you could cook down some marijuana and get a high enough dosage orally of the THC to be in the second category of using THC medicinally to help kill cancer cells. So taking THC to help kill cancer cells, then there's a bunch of different forms. You could take it as a butter. Typically, the Rick Simpson's oil is cooked down and then basically distilled down, where now you have a black kind of pasty, thick molasses type product that comes in a syringe, and you syringe out. His typical dosage was syringing out the size of a grain of rice and working up to 3 grains of rice 3 times a day. So that's the high dose THC to help with cancer. And then the third piece is the CBD. Now, CBD, like we sell a pure CBD on our store, and when we sell a premium CBD on our store, there's a difference between those two. Those come in a capsule form. The pure CBD is purified so it doesn't have any THC. Why would you want that? The only reason why you'd want that is if, number one, you have a severe reaction to THC, which I don't know that anybody has. But number two, if you are still working a job where you're drug tested. So if you're working a job that you get if you're trying out for the Winter Olympics, you have to take the pure CBD, because the premium CBD has a little bit of THC in it. Not enough to give you any high, not enough to give you any side effect. But if you got drug tested, it might come up positive. So most of our patients that are doing CBD, if they're purchasing it from us, are getting the premium CBD oil capsules. I can't remember the milligram dosage. I think it's like 30 or something like that. And then you have to dose up to the point where it can really help with pain. So will CBD oil in itself be a cancer killer? I always used to say no, because it's typically the THC that you think of as a cancer killer. However, there are more and more studies coming out, especially in the last 6 months, that CBD can inhibit cancer cell growth. So I have to kind of backpedal from that. There's more studies that are coming out that say CBD can be a cancer killer too. But I think it has to be dosed correctly. It has to be in a fairly high dose. You can also get CBD oil in the syringes that are the paste too, in a very high dose. We do carry those too. I think I'm actually out of that right now, but that's in a 120 milligram dose paste, so it's just easier to dose instead of taking 5 capsules if you don't like swallowing capsules. So it's just a different way to do it. But that's just a real brief elevator speech rundown on marijuana. And I think what we'll do is we'll have a whole Zoom call on this next week. And I might even have Michelle do that. But does that give you something? And if you have more questions, feel free to call and set up a time to talk to myself or Michelle to go over that too.
Yeah, I have been doing some reading regarding the high potency in the syringe and how different people are approaching how to do that, because it requires some solvents to burn off.
To make it yourself, it does require solvents, and you have to do it outside, or you can blow up your house.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
And you have to do it in a place where you're protected, because it's illegal.
Correct.
To make it yourself. But
right.
I know that, I'm pretty sure that any state caught a cancer patient making their own marijuana oil, you would be given a pass. But unless you're selling it for a profit or something like that. But
Really?
it's I know in Minnesota that our governor said no cancer patient would be prosecuted for using marijuana. But our governor said a lot of things that I don't think he's upheld, so I don't know. But CBD is legal in every state, and I know that getting THC is not very difficult. I've had patients that have gone to Colorado from here to get it because they trust that better than going through the state's program, and it really was the same price in Minnesota, so it was like no benefit.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this is Sharon. I can offer a connection to you as she's just getting going. She's started growing her own and processing her own, and she's doing the oils and capsules. And
okay, if you want to post that on the Facebook page, that would be great.
Yeah, that'd be handy.
Because like in Michigan, as far as I know, we get a medical marijuana card, and it's not hard to get one because there's these, I think it's like a sham. These doctors will just give it to anybody. And then that's supposed to protect me. So if I have it in my possession, supposedly I'm protected.
Yeah.
I don't know though exactly what, because I heard the federal laws are different than the state. So it's very confusing.
It's very confusing. And with the advent of so many states legalizing it, it's, unless you're selling marijuana on the side, then I don't think that anybody's going to be
going after you. Okay.
We'll keep an eye for the Facebook information there. Thank you for that.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? We're getting a little long on our call here. So remember to post questions on Facebook if you have them. If you have Zoom questions, remember you can email those in, but make sure you put in the subject line Zoom questions. Try not to ask questions on email that aren't Zoom questions, because literally we get probably 200 emails a day and you won't get an answer. You'll think we don't like you or something. So unless we can catch a Zoom question, then I can catch it. And if I missed your email that says Zoom questions, make sure you resend it so that I can see it again, because it gets buried really quick. So, all right. Thanks, everybody, and we will talk soon.
Thank you, Dr. Connors.
Good night.
Because I know, too, a number of you will be getting calls in the next hour here because we got a whole bunch of IV gene tests back.
Oh, I wanted to ask you.
We'll set those up. You have another question, David?
Just a tiny question, thanks. I looked on the website for the genetic test kit, and I couldn't find it on the website. I was going to order it.
So the IV gene test is on the web store. It is on the web store. Look under IV gene.
Okay.
And it is on the web store, so you can order it that way.
I'll jump on that. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a good night.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Dr. Connors.
Bye-bye.